Good evening. Today I'm going to walk you through the latest article I wrote in collaboration with the newcomers. This is the best publication for immigrants out there. It's so caring. Dozie has built this and from a place of love, and I'm so happy to collaborate and end this the year with my spicy take on what's going on in Canadian immigration. So let's start. So here we are, and we have from numbers to learning how to breathe, what the immigration plans really mean. And when I wrote this article, it was mostly because I was not very happy with the announcements in the immigration level plans. And since then, I edited a little bit because there have been at least one revelation on the target categories, prioritized categories. So what happened at the beginning when I was asked to write this article, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go take all the PDFs, all the official sources, commentary from lawyers, immigration consultants, compare, and then give my own take on this. But as I was doing that, I decided that the best way to do it, because it's so heavy. I read today somewhere that Canadian immigration has moved from a rules based system to a discretion based system, and I see that every day. So the technical, you can read it anywhere, so I'm not going to go too much over it, but what are the target levels? They are being lowered very quietly because we have 380K for PR target and 540,000 if needed. We have drops in almost every categories. Today, actually, somebody was in a consultation asking about parent and grandparents drop. They were still pulling for the pull from 2020, and nothing has been announced for next year. But we know that we have here at least 6,500 less spots. What we have is a true winner, but we don't know the distribution. The true winner is the provincial nominee program because uh, 90,000, as you know, in early this year, the spots were cut in half. Then some provinces regain a little bit of their spots, and then for next year we have 91,500. But this doesn't really mean anything until we know what each province is going to do, right? And I saw articles about predictions. Well, if this was the distribution this year, Ontario is going to get this and that. But we don't know the story until we really see. And this is one of the big question marks that I have. Some provinces like Nova Scotia, they have already started saying what they are planning to do. And priorities in certain categories, healthcare, social assistance, constructions, they also already redesigning their how to apply for permanent residence as a provincial nominee, and they are moving to a formal expression of interest system. So Nova Scotia has moved faster than other ones. Then I really hope we find out more information in January about these provinces. And then we have the issue about temporary residence. I've discussed that in detail in my LinkedIn post. But here, what really scares me is that in order to meet this target, something's gonna give. And work permits are also likely to fall because, as IRCC and the government, they try to push temporary residence to that less than 5% of the overall population. So if you are in a temporary status, if you have to renew, if you are transitioned to a new work permit, that's where it's more than in the past. You need to be super careful on having like the best, the most complete, the most accurate application. And sometimes it can get complicated, right? I see it every day in cases with, for example, you have the person applying for postgraduate permit, and then but at the time they don't have a job. A couple of months later they still don't have the permit, but they need the spouse open work permit is about to finish, and they need to find a way to file and pretty much pray and tell the officer, please don't decide on my spouse work permit until you decide on mine. So this is getting a little bit more complicated, so I always urge applicants to plan and to decide how to strategize to lessen, to reduce the risk of refusals. And then this is what really got me really mad because I saw that, okay, we're transitioning to 33,000 initiative, and like everybody who's already here who's been working, like I got a lot of requests for, oh, you create your please create my express entry profile. I saw people that they were charging like over $1,000 for creating that, which is ridiculous. And in this initiative that's going to be developed over 2 years, there are two words that we need to pay attention. One is rural and one is in demand. That's all we know about this. We don't know what exactly counts as in demand. We don't know how rural is going to be defined. We don't know if this is going to go through PNP stream, if it's going to be standalone things. Is this even going to prioritize French as well? And what are in demand categories? What are in demand professions? Is this trades, healthcare, AI, emerging tech? What? Why? I don't really know the definition of IRCC, emerging technologies. Again, and what I was talking at the beginning, there's a lot of discretion on this, which makes me a little bit mad. But we need to know what is this beautiful gift, because it's like a lottery ticket, and 33,000 people are going to get it over 2 years. We just don't know the criteria yet. And then this one is the one that I had to rewrite a little bit because as of yesterday, there was an announcement, a dedicated express entry for international doctors already with a 1 year experience in Canada. And I got a lot of messages and a lot of comments and critical thinking on, well, but who are these doctors? But it's because it's so hard to get your license where you're a foreign trained doctor to practice in Canada. In reality, the only people I know who would qualify in this path are some American doctors working in rural areas in provinces that the provinces hired them. BC had a recruitment program too, and I know a couple of doctors as well from South Africa. But how are these 5,000 a spot going to be filled? They have to be for people who already have 1 year experience, which means they are already working in their occupation. If you see family physicians, general practitioners, surgical specialists, so yeah. And then again, I was a little bit mad. I got a little bit mad with this immigration level plans because we know that this year French has dominated, provincial needs are increasing, and we need um, tighter alignment, right? But we don't have a complete list. We saw a little bit an announcement, some memorandum for military members to support Canadian Air Forces, which nothing has been confirmed. It is in a briefing out there, and we have the doctor's plan, which has been announced, formally announced. Then this one I have a lot of issues. What is a rural strategy? I'm actually going to be giving a seminar for LPEN in February about the rural community migration pilot. And even there, my research and the number of cases I know is very limited. So I know a lot of employers who have been trying to get designated and running into difficulty. So, but what is the summary? And again, based on December 3rd, because uh, before there were other, I think we had one more PMP, a big one actually, but the conclusion doesn't change that much. French dominated, category based draws will tighten further, and we don't know that. And finally, we have the human side. So now that I laid out the numbers, I want to end with a side that numbers cannot capture, and this is from my own lived experience. Because I truly believe that immigration is a psychological landscape. It takes years to breathe. I was in a conference earlier, and there was a very good motivational speaker, but he was inspiring, telling people to breathe, take a, like, you have to take this. And I feel sometimes, even when things are going well, the level of anxiety, it took me years to learn how to breathe, because what I calculated in my mind was always like, okay, when does my temporary status expire? I have a missing document. I have the right English test to submit? it's years to realize that safety doesn't arrive with a visa or even with PR, and years to trust yourself despite that lack of stability, and stability at every level, economic, psychological. I was very lucky that I navigated. At the time, my boyfriend, now my husband, he was doing his own immigration federal. I was going provincial, but we had each other to support, even though we were not doing the process together. Um, but so I am going to end up with what I do and what people who are watching the video, I hope it helps. And if not, that's okay. Yeah. And that's an insight from years of doing that and therapy, which is every night before I go to bed, I write whatever is my last thought of the day before I put my mouth guard. Sometimes it's a happy thought, sometimes it's a dark thought. And then as soon as I wake up in the morning, I read that thought, and 7 out of 10 is about immigration, whether it's at the personal or professional level. And then I think about it for 3 4 minutes, and this reminds me why I do what I do, and I advocate for clarity, and I don't mind advocating for clarity in Canadian immigration. It reminds me why I write this blog post, what I record this very amateur non-professional videos, because for millions of people, immigration is a state of survival in Canada right now. So if you're somewhere on that path, whether you're studying, working, hoping, appealing, rebuilding, know that you're allowed to pause, to feel exhausted. I cannot even pronounce. It's exhausting to talk about being exhausted in immigration, but you are not alone. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this spicy take. Uh, Good evening. I'm Veronica Sepper. Oh, I forgot that. I'm Veronica Sepper. I'm a registered Canadian immigration consultant. Um, Westdale Immigration is my company. It's so recent being able to say that here on video, so you can contact me, and I post on LinkedIn. That's my main platform. Thank you.